Think about a game you got really excited for. Think about the way that maybe your excitement for that game got somebody else excited about that game, and then maybe somebody else excited about that game, and then you're all talking about it in Discord before it comes out. It's that experience of fandom that powers much of our love of games. And there are ways that if you are making a game, you can make your space more welcoming for those super fans who want to lead the charge and spread the good word of your game. Our next speaker to the stage is a GDoc veteran. She has run a number of things for GDoc, including most recently our social media. She's also a community developer and a superfan herself. Please welcome to the stage, Myleah Lofland.
Welcome to Supercharge Games Marketing with Superfans. Today's talk will scratch the surface of how to harness superfans as your greatest allies. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Myleah, and I'm the social media manager at Anima Interactive, as well as Game Devs of Color Expo. I'm a former broadcast journalist, but transitioned to games to follow my dreams of doing storytelling with interactive media. I've been social media manager at Game Devs of Color Expo since 2021. Though I have a diverse background of marketing communications, where I really shine is with indie game communities. Here are just a few of the games I've worked on: Pen Pal Princess, Tomo Endless Blue, and most recently, Take Us North. I also created Lumika Cosplay Resale, the largest secondhand cosplay resale marketplace. But more importantly, I'm a super fan. I organize fan events, I write fan fiction and commission fan art, I MC cosplay contests, helped to start multiple anime and gaming conventions, and most recently flew across country and made a costume in a month just to meet my favorite Japanese voice actor. I have a deep knowledge of fandom that drives my strategy as a fan-focused communications specialist. As someone who has spent a lot of time in fandom spaces, I've thought a lot about how game developers can consider fandom earlier on to improve their chances of building a healthy and thriving fandom. But let's talk about you. Why are you here? As a veteran or even as an aspiring game developer, you must have had a spark, right? Was it a game you played? A memory you have with your family or friends? Share it in the chat and think about that spark as we move through the presentation. And when you see those little sparks coming off of the words, use those to charge up your knowledge, aka store those up for later. The 1,000 True Fans theory by Kevin Kelly states that you only need 1,000 people who will support everything you do to have a sustainable career. Those who will buy every game, pre-order merch, show up to events, and evangelize your work to make a sustainable creative career. This obviously isn't an exact number or is something that'll fit every game or model, but it's to get you thinking about how you don't need to be universally loved and supported by everyone ever to be successful. I really do recommend reading the whole essay if you're curious about it. This is the Pyramid of Fandom created by Pat Flynn, the writer of the book Superfans. He's garnered millions of fans across his platforms, but I personally came across him as a fan of his channel Deep Pocket Monster, a Pokemon card collecting channel. As a fellow hobbyist, I found his approach to content creation and cultivating fandom really refreshing. If you've ever heard the jingle, "Should I open it or should I keep it sealed?" That's him. That jingle in itself is a strategy to create a recognizable, catchy theme that any of his fans can bond over knowing. For a brief overview, at this casual level, you have new explorers who discover your work through recommendations or searches. Active fans follow you and sign up for your mailing list. At that connected level, engaged fans are giving you feedback and interact on platforms like Discord and Blue Sky. And at the top level, you got your super fans who actively promote your work, play and beta test your demos, and volunteer to help you at events like PAX and MagFest. We could really dig deep into each tier, but I want to focus on this connected level. Connected fans are the ones that are talking with one another, helping people out when you're not around in your community, and help validate ideas to help take your game to the next level. If you need feedback on what color palette for a character looks the best, drop a poll in your Discord server with your connected players and you'll be sure to receive feedback. A super fan is a true fan who is so in love with you and whatever you do. These folks will go out of their way to make sure that you continue to exist and create your work, but also know that everyone around them knows about you too. Superfans evangelize your work. They're those incredible folks who create fan works in their free time, spend money on your merch, your DLC, your soundtracks, and spend hours in your game beyond even your imagination. While I was working on Sushi Ben, one member who self-identified as the #1 Ben fan decided to catch as many tuna as they could to fit inside the restaurant, and he had like 50 of them at one point. Honestly, probably a promising future in QA, if I'm being honest. So, would you rather have 100 engaged Discord members that know each other's names, or a server of 10,000 people who don't even know the game that you're making? Don't make the mistake of being the overlord who thinks that big Discord servers means brr, big Discord free money printing machine. You have to earn that engagement and build a community worth being in and connecting with others in. When it comes to community, it's always about quality over quantity. So, how do you cultivate the ideal environment for your superfans? As you think about how you're going to cultivate this environment, I'd first like you to think about the kinds of fandom and creative spaces you enjoy. You don't have to be a particularly diehard fan of anything, but just think about the places that you gravitate towards the most. What kind of communities do you gravitate away from? By reflecting on your own habits and what types of spaces you enjoy, you can really hone in on what makes a wonderful space to be in. But honestly, community and social media managers are so important to building the tone and helping shape your game's community, so don't undervalue them. They've got the skills to find the pulse of your community and figure out what works best. Try to bring them on early if you can. So first, let's talk about the building blocks of your game. You can utilize familiar elements, evoking familiar tropes and visual cues to make it easier to connect your audience to your work. Some typical tropes in anime are utilized in Sushi Ben, a VR game featuring manga panels and a slice-of-life anime essence at the heart of its style. So you got the domineering villainess, an adorable mascot to guide you, and a hopeful, scrappy protagonist who can't help but want to support and help through the story. All tropes commonly referenced in anime. While not everyone is going to have the same associations, this is a great way to signal to your audience that you've got what they're looking for. It tells prospective players, if you like anime, you'll probably like this. With Tomo Endless Blue, the game's unique combination of Pokémon and Minecraft has allowed it to connect with fans from all over who have nostalgia for both games and can appreciate both monster taming and voxel mechanics. By evoking similar mechanisms, visual style, or even common character tropes and archetypes, you can ease players in who are already familiar fans of classic popular titles that have come before yours. You obviously don't want to overdo this, but thinking about how you can easily connect your players to your game using visual shortcuts will allow you to build a fan base faster and more efficiently. If you over-rely on this, however, you can toe a really dangerous line. As we all know, beloved series have their diehard fans, and if you lean too hard into being just like a certain series, those super fans will be able to see your weaknesses and inauthenticity from a mile away. Use them in your marketing strategy sparingly and with caution. Build those feedback loops early. I can't reiterate this one enough. Fans love getting to feel like they're contributing in some way and that their feedback is being heard and listened to. One of the easiest ways to hurt your relationship with your community is to make them feel like you're ignoring their suggestions or that you're directly going against what a majority of your player base is asking for. Of course, I'm not saying you should listen to every suggestion your players make, but acknowledging those suggestions in some way, giving explanations where you can, and giving transparency will help you to build healthy feedback loops within your community. The best you can do is to make your players feel special when they make the effort to connect with you. Fuel fan creation with flexibility. I mean, we all love a good, satisfying ending, but don't we also love a bit of mystery? Leave questions to be answered by your fans. Fan fiction, fan art, and fan debates thrive when creators leave room for speculation and healthy controversy, for example, rival ships, moral decisions, multiple endings. Push them to create more endings with writing and art. Leave a world that's open to play in. Think about the games that have the healthiest fan communities of creatives. Pokémon with fake mons, fan games, fan art, fan fiction. While so much of the Pokemon series is defined with monsters, locations, and core events, it also leaves so much to the player's imagination. There is so much fan content surrounding creating your own monsters, designing original characters as trainers, and even fan games that introduce new mechanics. These are just a few popular fan works that have garnered attention in the Pokemon community. Fans love getting to play around with the what-ifs, especially when it comes to dynamics between characters. If you're familiar with the 2023 Game of the Year Baldur's Gate 3, you'd know that the companions in the game are insanely shippable, and you can have them in any order or orientation you like. Creating a sandbox for players to play dolls and envision their own stories for these characters will fuel fan creation for years to come. Larian is also a great example of a team that empowers their players with mods and the ability to play with the game to their heart's content, the way that they want to play it. Obviously, this isn't suitable to every game model, but if you're looking to build a fandom, you can implement bits and pieces of this advice into your game's DNA. This can start as early as character design. If you're really set on creating attractive or adorable characters, you should conceptualize with creators in mind. You want to make it easy for fans to create, especially cosplayers and artists. I can't tell you how many times I saw a fellow cosplayer at a convention just wearing a genuinely cool costume and asking where it was from because I'm like, I want to know that character. This design makes me want to consume this media and know more. That's why clear references, simple yet striking character designs, and open lore can spark a thriving content ecosystem. Tenna, from the recent Chapter 3 of Deltarune, falls under the Tumblr sexy man trope, a character who is lanky, usually dapper, and has some sort of dark backstory despite their upbeat and silly appearance. And this other unfortunate character from Final Fantasy is needlessly complicated and would probably be very unpleasant to cosplay and equally as frustrating to draw. While you shouldn't be afraid of your own creative vision, you should keep these factors in mind, especially if you want fan creators to interact with your work. Did you know that cosplayers are actually some of the top spenders in the hobby and games market? Think about how your character designs will really exist in a physical space. If you really want to dig in, how easy will it be to access materials to make your outfits? How feasible is it to exist in real life? Consider gravity, physics, and if you're going to push those, then you better make them iconic. Superfans also love a good collectible. Accessible wearable merch like clothing, keychains, and buttons are awesome for getting your game out there through your fans being your walking advertisements. Fan-forward spaces like PAX and MagFest can further solidify your presence in the minds of your fans as a staple of something that can tangibly exist in the same physical space as them. It's a totally different ballgame to go to the booth of your favorite game, pick up merch and put it in your hands, or physically play a demo at a thematic booth. Proof that it works? Just look at sports. Sports teams have long understood the power of creating a sense of community through things like jerseys and fan chants. It's all about identity and belonging, and you can create that feeling with your games too. You've got these fans who have been fans of a team forever, whether that's because the team represents their hometown, state, or even because the team is their favorite color or mascot. Fans will buy mugs, hats, jerseys, pajamas, and more, all to align with the team. You want to create fans that are Team You. You can imitate what sports do, create characters that players want to identify with, and to make part of their own identity. Humans love putting themselves in categories and on teams, so if you can capitalize on this approach in your game, do it. Character-specific merchandise, community rituals, shared language through memes, all things that can build loyalty. It's all about creating those common touch points that your fans can use to connect with each other and your game more deeply, and to become super fans. So let's wrap this up with some takeaways. Connecting with 1,000 superfans isn't a hard and fast number, but it's a good way to get you thinking about the way you approach building up your fan community. The space needs to be a place that feels welcome and open, where your players feel heard through an early feedback loop. If you're thinking about this early enough, really design your visuals with your dream fans in mind. What types of players do you want to play your game, and how can you attract them? Even if your game isn't a literal sandbox game, let them play around in the dirt and discover new things to explore and muse about on their own. It's more fun that way. And with some well-choreographed mysteries and tasteful loose ends, you can create some friendly discourse and discussion for years to come. Think about what drives you to create games, the game that sparked your developer dream, the game you call your favorite. How can you harness what makes you such a fan of your most beloved games to spark a fire that'll come alive in the form of a passionate fandom? I'm Myleah. You can find me on most platforms, but my links will always be hosted on my Linktree. Thank you so much for listening to my talk, and may your algorithm be kind, your content evergreen, and your fans as passionate as you are. Thank you.
Fans are such a critical part of the gaming ecosystem, and I don't just mean that as like a weird financial thing. The fans are what help us find out what we love. We build identities. We team up with other folks and walk around in costumes. It's a really wonderful way to see people enjoy the stories and the worlds that we're building in our games. And I also would not have thought about developing simple costuming so that it's easy to cosplay. Thank you for that tip, Myleah. If you want to learn more from Myleah, you can follow her on Blue Sky at Myleah. And also drop some hearts in the chat for her too.